All right, so now we're actually going to see how to insert things into a Mongo database. I'm just going to quickly show you the documentation here, which, if I'm being honest, is maybe my least favorite part of Mongo. I think there's just so much information if you go to the docs that it can be overwhelming. Just hovering over docs, actually, we have to pick what we're looking for. And I see a lot of students pick things like cloud. That's not what we want. We want server. So focus on server docs. And then on the left-hand side, we have a bunch of different categories. And honestly, sometimes it takes me a while to find what I'm looking for on the docs. But what we're looking for right now for the next couple of videos is everything under this CRUD operations section. We want to be able to insert into a Mongo database. We want to be able to query or read out. We want to update. We want to delete. All right. So we're going to start by inserting documents. And the way that this works, to insert documents in Mongo, we actually insert into a collection. Now, a collection is kind of what it sounds like. It's just a grouping of data in a database. So instead of just having all of our information floating around in a single Mongo database, which, by the way, I'm just going to open the shell back up, and we're going to create that database again from the previous video. I'm calling it, what did I do? Animal shelter. So I'm going to do use animal shelter just like this, and then I'll clear. Okay. And if we're making an animal shelter application to help people adopt animals, we might have a bunch of different types of information for our app. We'll probably have cats, we'll have dogs, but we'll also have users. We might have cities or locations or particular animal shelters. These might be different entities, different things we need to store. So they're not all just going to float around in here. Instead, we insert different pieces of data into collections. So I could have a cat's collection, a dog's collection, and surprise, surprise, we're going to start with one of those. Let's use dogs to begin with, okay? So when we insert, we need to insert into a collection. And the nice part about Mongo is that if we insert something into a collection that does not yet exist, that collection will be made for us. So to insert, we have 3 different methods we'll take a look at. We have insert one, insert many, and insert. Honestly, I only use insert most of the time. So insert one does exactly what it sounds like. You pass in one thing, one object that will be written into that collection. So db.collection.insert1. Let's start there, okay? So I'm in that database. I can always look at db. It's animal shelter because I said use animal shelter. Then we're going to call db.dogs if that's the collection I want to insert into. It doesn't exist. I can verify with show collections. Remember, this is just like a container for similar data. So I'm going to have a bunch of different dogs. So I'll put them all in this collection. And the reason for collections, obviously, well, I shouldn't say obviously, but one of the main reasons is we can query them and, look across all of the dogs to find, the oldest ones, or find the dogs who have been there in the shelter the longest time, or the ones that are, aggressive, or whatever it is, where I might want to query across a whole collection. Okay? So I'm going to db.dogs.insert. We can do insert one to begin with. And then I pass in an object. And this object actually can just be a JavaScript object I pass in, so I don't need to use valid JSON where I use double quotes. I can treat it as a JavaScript object. That's what it actually is. It will be turned into bson. So let's say that this dog has, a name. This dog's name is Charlie. It has an age of 3. It has a breed of what? How about a corgi? And then what should we call this? Maybe like is cat friendly, is aggressive. Let's go with cat friendly. And that will be true for Charlie. All right. So it's just an object that I'm inserting into this collection called dogs. Dogs doesn't exist yet. We looked here. There was nothing in there. Let's go ahead and hit enter and take a look at what I get back. A lovely acknowledgement. It tells me, yep, that is acknowledged. So how do we know if it worked? Well, we're going to see that shortly. But first, I'll show you that if I now look at show collections, now there's a dogs collection. And then also just a little preview. If I want to see all dogs, I can do this, db.dogs.find. And this is what's in there. So what is this? Well, this is exactly what we just inserted. Name, Charlie, age 3, breed, corgi, cat friendly, true, except there's this thing that's been added in. Underscore ID is set to, what is this? Object ID 5F3C, blah, blah, blah. So this property is automatically created for us by Mongo. Underscore ID is what is known as a primary key. It needs to be unique for every single element in this collection, and it will be unique because we're not making it. Mongo is setting it for us. Underscore ID, obviously I did not put that in here. It made it for me. And then this object ID thing here is a particular type in Mongo. And the point is that it's a small, likely unique, fast to generate, and ordered value. So it tells us here, if an inserted document omits underscore ID, the MongoDB driver automatically generates an object ID for it. So you can make your own IDs, but a lot of the time we'll just rely on these built-in ones. All right, so we have that underscore ID made for us, and object ID is just a quickly generated, hopefully unique value. So returning to insertion, we also have insert many. So if we go back here, insert many allows us to insert multiple values. It's expecting an array to be passed in, although I'm not going to use that one, honestly. I prefer to use insert, which will do both, because you can pass in either just a single document, an object, or an array of documents. So it will figure out if it needs to insert many or one. And that's what I use. So let's do another example, db.dogs.insert. And then here, let's do an array this time, and it will contain 2 dogs. And what I'm going to show you here is that, first of all, we don't have to enforce any sort of consistent structure for a collection. So the previous dog we just did had a name, a breed, cat friendly, an age. I probably want all of those here for this next dog, but I don't have to follow that format. I don't have any constraints set up. Mongo does now support that. You can set up these constraints that will be enforced, but for now we're just ignoring that. So let's make 2 dogs here. The first one will have a name of Wyatt. Wyatt is what was his breed here? A golden retriever. I'm just gonna write golden. Age, unfortunately he's deceased. It was one of my dogs from a couple of years ago. I think he was 14. And then cat friendly, I'm going to put false just to have some variety, although he actually was cat friendly. And then let's add a second dog in. This one will have a name of, how about Tanya? And then a breed of Chihuahua. And an age of 2. She's pretty young. Or maybe she's an old Chihuahua. How about 17? Smaller dogs can live longer. And cat friendly will be false as well for, no, let's make it true. I don't know. It doesn't really matter, but there we go. Let's hit enter here. So I've got 2 objects. Here's my first one. Here's the second one. Okay? They are following the same pattern, but they don't have to. And what did I'm missing my closing parenthesis for insert, so it's telling me that. I need to add that in. Okay? Notice what I get back here, a bulk write result, and it tells me 2 inserted. So we get back this sort of confirmation that tells me what happened, and there's potential that something could have gone wrong, right? Only one of them might be inserted, none of them. There's something called an upsert we're not talking about right now, modifying, removing things. We will see this sort of bulk write result come up more than once. Now, let's quickly do a db.dogs.find again. And now we have 3 different dogs in our database in this dogs collection. And I should show that we can insert into a different collection as well. I can do db.shelters.insert or db.cats.insert. I'll insert one of my cats here. This time, instead of doing an array, I'm just going to insert one thing. And this document is going to be, let's see, I'll have a name. We'll do Blue Steel, one of my cats. Age, she's getting old. I think she might be 6 almost. And dog friendly is most certainly false. And breed, she is a Scottish Fold. Okay, I hit enter. Here we are, db.cats.find. Cool. there's my one cat that I have in this collection, db.dogs.find. I have 3 dogs. So I have different collections, they're separate, they're in the same database. If I were to leave this database, remember this show DBs, if I were to, use something else like use local, and I try looking for dogs, nothing. Try looking for cats, nothing. But if I go back to animal shelter, just clear this, now we have our cats and we have our dogs as well. All right, so in this video, we technically saw, 3 different insertion methods, but honestly, I just used db.dogs.insert, pass in a single document, curly braces, you'll insert one thing. Pass in an array with multiple documents, you will insert multiple documents, assuming nothing goes wrong. When you insert, you need to specify a collection to insert into. If that collection does not yet exist, it will be created for you. If it does exist, you'll just be adding to that collection. And finally, the _ID field is automatically created for us if we don't provide it. And this is a primary key. It's supposed to be a unique reference for each individual document in a collection, and this is something that will be important later on. So for now, it's just made for us automatically. We're not specifying it. Next up, we'll focus more on finding. Okay, we saw the very, very basics, but there's a lot more.